The Jigsaw Instructional Strategy is a great way to break up and chunk heavy texts that students may normally struggle to read, or sometimes articles that are just lengthy and cumbersome. You'll start by dividing your text up into chunks. The number of chunks that you divide your text up into should match your student group numbers. For example, if your students already sit in groups of 3, you'll want to divide your chunk or your text into chunks of 3. After you have your text divided up into chunks, you'll then assign each student in the group to read a chunk of text. For example, raise your hand if you're a pink. All the pink students raise their hand. You guys are reading the pink section of text. And you would repeat that. All my oranges, you're reading the orange chunk of text. All of my greens, you're reading the green chunk of text. You don't have to do this with colors. You could do this with numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, or if you have students in groups of 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you could also do this with shapes, all of my squares, all of my circles, all of my triangles, and divide up the text this way. You just need to have a common language around what chunk of reading each student in their home group will be completing. Students will read in their home groups independently, so quietly, and you'll want to make sure that you have a timer on the screen that communicates to the students how long they have to complete the reading. You may elect to have the students take notes, annotate, or highlight, but that's definitely not required. You also might want to suggest to them that they are looking for any big ideas in the text, any complex vocabulary, or any questions that they might have. Once the timer goes off, students are going to leave their home group and head to their expert group. In my expert groups, all of my students that read the pink chunk of text are going to sit together. Orange chunk of text, they're going to sit together. Green chunk of text, they're going to sit together. When they are in their expert groups, they're going to be having conversations with each other about what they read. Again, this might be big ideas, questions they still have, complex vocabulary. You'll want to have a timer on the screen that communicates to your expert groups how long they will have to have their conversation. You'll also want to relay to them that after they leave their expert group, they will be headed back to their home group where they will be talking to their home group members about what they read, the big takeaways, the big ideas. So they are the expert in that chunk of reading. Once the timer goes off for the expert groups, have your students head back to their home groups. This time, when they are in their home groups, instead of doing reading, they are having conversation. To add some structure to this, think about including a timer. Be really clear on your directions. Hey, in this first round, we're going to hear from all the pinks in the group. All my pinks, raise your hand. Great. Pinks, you're going to share the big ideas in the text that you read and the information that you feel that the rest of your group needs to know. You might choose to give them a 1 minute or 2 minute timer to communicate that information. When the timer goes off, you'll have a callback, and then you'll go over those directions again. All right, guys, it's time to hear from my oranges. All my oranges raise their hand. Great. You're going to be communicating to your home group the big ideas and the thinking and vocabulary that you read in your chunk. You'll restart that timer and you'll repeat this same process again for the green group and as many times as you need to so that all of your students in your home group have had an opportunity to talk about the chunk of reading that they did. This is just a friendly reminder. On the screen, you're seeing this divided up into 3 chunks of reading for 3 student groups of 3. Your student groups may be 4 or 5, so you'll just make sure that you coordinate your chunks of reading to match that number. You may also want to include an accountability activity at the end of this. It might look like an exit ticket or a short answer response where students will summarize all of the learning that they did.